Hello world. Good morning. This is, well, I don't know if yeah, it's definitely fall. Winter is quite a ways off yet, but today I wanted to talk about seasons because, well, there are a couple things that have made me think about it, but one of them is just how cold it's gotten all of a sudden. And I've had to pause to wonder if it might be winter yet because we're supposed to get to freezing temperatures in the next few nights. And there's a trailer. And there it's gone. The weather decided to change. Well, it didn't decide, but you know what I mean. The weather changed rather quickly, actually. I'm not used to it changing so fast. We went from 70s and 80s to 50s and maybe 60s over the course of a week. It just happened. Normally, I'm used to where I grew up, it being a little more smooth a transition, and I don't know if that was normal for here. This is only my second October here in Meridian, but in any case, it got me thinking about a few things. And there are a few ways you can think about the term seasons. One of them being seasons of your life. What is a season? Well, I'll admit I didn't think to look up the actual dictionary definition, so maybe I'll do that later and leave it down in the description or comment. But the definition that I'm thinking of is basically just a period of your life or of time. And there's a defined number of them that are each unique and recognizable, and then they repeat. Here in the United States, at least definitely in the northern half of the United States, don't know about Florida, we have 4 unique seasons, and you can tell them apart. Farther south, you might have seasons, but maybe not the same 4. In Brazil, for example, in Sao Paulo, at least, there's basically hot, cold for a few weeks, hot, and raining all the time, and then it repeats. So you could kind of delineate into 4 times of the year, but except for the rain on the one part, really it's just hot for 10, 11 months, and then kind of cold for a month. But how does that compare to your life? What about your life? What are the seasons that you've lived through? There are many examples. Don't know if you can hear that plane, but there is a plane up there making a lot of noise. Sorry about that. Just as I'm talking, it makes me wonder if you can hear me the same. I'm sure you can. It's far away. So in our life, there are many seasons, and they do repeat. And in the world as well. One of the things that I've seen more and more of recently, been pretty incredible actually, is the more places I study, the more places I look. I'm not even looking for it, I just see it pop up. I see that people who cross the world, across different areas of study, most recently it was in economics, noticed that history has cycles, and they all seem to indicate, well, some of them talk about 4 generations, some talk about 50 years, and both of those are in scripture. So I wonder how many of these people notice this. We're also influenced by scripture, as I have, but there is clear indication of four generational cycles in many stories in Scripture. And around 50 years, well, I forget the exact name, but that's the time that Jehovah set aside for like a reset in ancient Jewish history, where every 7 years was, I forget what exactly, which we know now from more modern research, that letting the land rest or swapping the crops benefits it greatly. Well, that was a religious tradition for them, and now we know by science it increases yield and productivity. And then every 7 years, every 49 years, the 50th year, the year after that, was the year of Jubilee. That's it, Jubilee. I can't remember what all happened on the year of Jubilee, but I believe debts were forgiven and things like that. It was a new beginning, a new start. Well, just a couple days ago, I saw something talking about the economic cycle that happens about every 50 years. So it's incredible to see just how many places a simple principle, such as seasons, shows up in so many ways. So what season of life are you in right now in your life? Are you in a season of recovery, like winter, where things might seem like everything is slow and dead, but under the surface, things are growing and resting? Take the bear. It rests, it sleeps through the winter, but it doesn't die. It's just taking some time off. Are you in the spring, time of renewal and rejuvenation, new growth? Summer, well, where you've got strong growth and you have I don't know how to put it properly, but it's where everything grows that was planted in the spring. And then fall is the time of harvest, time of setting aside the rewards from your planting and growth from the previous seasons and preparing for the rest of winter. They all have a purpose. Even winter is necessary. Around here, it doesn't snow quite as much as where I'm from, but snow is absolutely vital. There are many animals that hibernate or do something like it, but others still survive just fine. They just adapt. But the plants, you think, oh, well, the grass and all these plants are going to die. Well, they come back in the spring. The snow actually acts as a blanket that protects plants and grass from the cold. The snow is an insulator. The snow serves a purpose in keeping things alive. Especially when it comes to spring. All of the water we get in our rivers in spring and summer that comes from the mountains comes from the snowpack. If there was less snow in the winter, there's less water come spring. We need that snow in the mountains to give us the water that springs forth life in the spring and summer. In other words, in our life, and there's a season of life where we need rest. We need to build up a reserve for what's to come. Like bears preparing for hibernation, they eat extra in the fall to rest through the winter. We need to be ready for times of famine, as was Joseph, prepared for the 7 years of famine in ancient Egypt. He was warned in a dream. Well, the Pharaoh was warned in a dream, and Joseph interpreted it, that there'd be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. You could think of those as seasons. There's a season of plenty and a season of famine. In your own life, are you in a time of plenty or famine? If you're already in famine and you didn't prepare, you're probably suffering for it. And I'm sorry for you. I have been there. It is not fun. Not at all. But I hope it gets you thinking about, come the next season of plenty, how will you better prepare for the next season of famine? We need to consider what we'll need in the future and what we have today that will help us prepare for that future. The future could bring anything. We know for a fact there are cycles in the economic output of this country and the world, and of our own families, and really in every size of community. Small towns are dying across the country because, well, large highways were built that bypass them, and they no longer have the foot traffic. They no longer have as many people driving through. As the town dies down, there's less people to provide foot traffic to the downtowns. So downtowns start to die off, and the cycle continues. Their time passed. Well, unfortunately, I'm from a small town. I think about things that I can do to help rejuvenate it, but the point is, things change. How are you going to be ready for that change? It's a known fact that things will change. So instead of trying to keep everything the same and think, how can I make everything stay the same as it's always been? How do I prepare for the next one? How do I prepare for the famine? How do I prepare for the next season? That's my invitation to you, is think about that. Consider which season you're in right now of your life and recognize what will come next, because there will be a new season. And if you trace back through history, you can see what the next one's going to be. Prepare for it, whatever it is. If it's time to plant, get seeds ready to plant. If it's time for growth, focus on everything that you've planted already. Don't plant anything else. Those new seeds will not grow in time before the winter comes. Concentrate on what you've already planted. It's time for harvest. Get everything you can out of what you planted and prepare for a time of season of rest. And then do rest so you can recharge and rejuvenate for the next time. And, well, that's it. It seems pretty simple. I've just started thinking about some of these things myself, so I need to start applying them myself and see how it goes. So can't just, I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to join you on this journey. I'm going to join you on this season, this seasonal planning, and I'll share how it goes. Well, thanks for joining me for another walk around the neighborhood. I'll see you next time.